All right, greetings everyone, and welcome to today's presentation about Cornell University. My name is Jonathan Augustin from our Undergraduate Admissions Office, and over the next hour or so, my colleagues and I are going to provide a thorough overview about Cornell University, our individual colleges and schools, and what makes this an extraordinary institution. And hopefully you'll take away some of this information if you're planning to apply for this upcoming fall or for next fall or maybe down the road, and hopefully be able to use the information we're sharing with you for your application. So as we get started here, talking about the Any Person, Any Study. As New York State's land-grant institution, Cornell is charged with advancing the lives and livelihoods of the state's citizens through teaching, research, and public service. Our mission is rooted in ideals considered revolutionary for its time when Ezra Cornell founded the institution in 1865. He believed a land-grant university education should be open to all qualified students, regardless of class, ethnicity, race, or gender, and must merge practical, scientific, and technical education with classical studies in history, philosophy, and literature. And that's where you see that quote at the bottom of your screen. I would found an institution where any person can find instruction, any study. When we talk about Cornell's community today, we're proud to showcase more than 16,000 undergraduate students, with over 3,500 students in our new first-year class. 19% of that class is considered first generation, or the first to go to college in their family, and over 500 students come to Cornell each year in our new transfer classes. Our students come from all 50 states and over 100 different countries from around the world. So again, that diversity you'll see very evident on campus when you step foot here. And when we talk about this Cornell difference, right, what makes Cornell stand out? What's unique about the institution? These three things are certainly not the only three things, but the three things that I'll highlight for today's program. We have a large alumni network. Our global alumni network of more than 250,000 living alumni will open doors for you. You're likely to find fellow Cornellians wherever you go, so be prepared to find connections when taking the next step in your career or moving to a new city. And again, the best part about that is oftentimes they'll find you before you're even able to find them. So I love when I'm able to talk about our alumni in these spaces. Our global presence, right, with 6 campuses in 3 countries, a Cornell education can take you around the world. Beyond our Ithaca campus, which we hope you'll get to explore at some point in the near future, if you haven't done so already, undergraduate students can study at our campuses in New York City, Washington, D.C., Geneva, New York, Doha, Qatar, and Rome, Italy. Additionally, Cornell offers over 100 different study abroad programs around the world, from Nepal to New Zealand, Chile to China, and Italy to India. So no matter what your major, you can take advantage of studying abroad at Cornell with a little planning and support from our Office of Global Learning. And last but not least on this slide, right, that our students are in demand. And I'm sure that goes without saying, but our students are, again, sought after in just about every industry. And being part of our community of scholars helps you develop the skills that top companies, startups, nonprofit organizations, government offices, and other employees are going to be looking for. The mean starting salary for 2023 graduates is over $87,000, and top employers from that year's class include Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, and Epic Systems. And approximately 90% of graduates are employed full-time or pursuing graduate studies within 6 months of graduation. A Cornell education gives you those skills to pursue your passions and succeed in whatever you choose to pursue. So when we talk about, Cornell, one of the things that maybe some folks are not familiar with is the fact that we are the largest Ivy. Being the largest Ivy League institution, Cornell offers a breadth and depth and quality of academics that's unmatched and unrivaled. With 8 admitting colleges and schools, over 80 undergraduate majors, and 130 undergraduate minors, we also offer more than 4,000 undergraduate courses. You can really customize your studies to pursue your passions and tailor your educational experience to your individual interests. Our faculty are leaders in their fields, and you have the opportunity to learn from them both inside and outside the classroom. We're also a tier one research institution with roughly 4,000 students engaged in research at any given point in time. Why that number is significant is that's about a quarter of our total undergraduate student population. And you can also pursue research as early as your first year on campus. So again, if you're looking to do research, right, we're not going to force you to do it, but it's going to be available as early as your first year and certainly as late as your last year on campus. And with all of these great benefits of our size and resources, the individual attention to student success in and outside the classroom is also a hallmark of the Cornell experience. About 73% of our courses have fewer than 30 students enrolled, and over 80% of our classes have fewer than 50 students enrolled. So you're going to get to know your faculty, and your faculty are going to get to know you. And our students are also part of several different smaller communities within the broader university community. This is a core community which we refer to as your home college or school. And looking at this slide, right, with so many different academic options, your first order of business is going to be choosing which college or school is the best fit for you. When you apply to Cornell, you'll need to apply to a specific college or school. It's really, really important for you to know. And if you know what you want to major in, right, this could be an easy choice, as some majors are only offered in one of our colleges and schools. However, some interests can be studied in several. I could give you several different examples, right? But I'll use biology as the example for today's program. If you're interested in biology, you can pursue that interest in our College of Arts and Sciences, our College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, or the College of Human Ecology, in addition to our College of Engineering. Right, so all four of those colleges have biological science programs that you may find an interest in. And in these cases, it's important to explore the curriculum and the culture of each college and school that offers the major you're considering. The hope with today's program, right, is to introduce you to these amazing undergraduate colleges and schools. And I know I've talked for a little while here, so with that, we'll start our introduction with these undergraduate colleges and schools with our College of Agriculture and Life Sciences and my colleague, Anna.
Thank you, John. Yes, my name is Anna Cummings. I'm kicking us off tonight, what might be tonight for us or morning or afternoon for all of you. I'm an assistant director on the admissions team in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, or CALS as we more fondly refer to it. And CALS is a pioneer of purpose-driven science with 21 majors to count, spanning the life, agricultural, environmental, and social sciences. And CALS, as students and as researchers, are interested in tackling complex challenges that tend to fall within three overlapping areas: natural and human systems, food, energy, and environmental resources, and social, physical, and economic well-being. So if in high school so far you've already found yourself interested in things like health risks and challenges, whether that's cancer or COVID-19 or insect-borne illness, if you're more interested in the public health response to those challenges or equitable health care, if you're interested in climate change, if you've taken an interest in food security, animals, economic and community development, or the role that media and technology will play as all of these problems unfold, it's likely that CALS will continue to emerge for you as, John mentioned, really one of the best fits for you academically within Cornell University. Now, an important distinction I want to make about our CALS students as far as their academic experience is that within the Bachelor of Science programs listed here on the slide, our CALS students begin directly in one of these majors, and that's something important to keep in mind. Unlike other colleges and schools, even here within Cornell University, where you might be able to take that first or second year to decide which major or program you'd like to declare or affiliate with, CALS asks students to select a major as early as the application process. Now, as 14, 15, 16-year-olds, I know that might seem daunting, but really we in CALS believe that this is an opportunity for students who have already identified a passion, an interest area, a focus, to enter into a community of like-minded individuals with a similar passion. Your end goal might not yet be determined, and that interest may change, but you can count on the fact that you will be accompanied by peers and faculty who are just as fired up about that same subject matter. And what's another important kind of distinctive characteristic of a CALS education, and really as a college student, is that your major will not be the entirety of your academic experience at Cornell or in CALS. Certainly, if we switch to the next slide here, you'll see that CALS students will also be asked to complete categories of coursework. We call them distribution requirements. And this is a core foundation, really cornerstone of a CALS education that asks students to venture beyond familiar subjects, discover more about themselves, the environment around them, and equip themselves to become multifaceted young people in, let's face it, an ever-evolving workplace. So you'll see everything from agriculture, human diversity, written and oral expression, and that one there at the very bottom, engaged, experiential, and entrepreneurial learning milestone. This is highlighting another key feature of a CALS education, which is that learning goes beyond the classroom. Students are taking what they're learning in a classroom setting and applying it to real world settings to ensure, A, that they enjoy the subject that they've selected, and that they can see the kinds of outcomes that are happening in a theory-based setting, taking place and having real impact in a real world capacity. If we switch to the next slide here, you'll see that students are obtaining this E3 milestone in a number of ways. Cal students, roughly 34%, have completed one or more international experience before they graduate. About 72% have completed one or more internship before they graduate, and about 54% have completed one or more faculty-led research project. All of these, again, kind of further highlighting Cal's desire to push students outside of the classroom through various learn by doing experiences along the way. Our last slide here is highlighting that CALS is available year-round, both in staff as myself tonight, but also our students, because we understand that students want to hear from students. So if you're ever interested in any of those majors, perhaps more than one, we encourage you not only to reach out to our CALS admissions office via that first email address there, but also our CALS ambassadors email address to connect with a current student here in CALS, perhaps conducting research in that same lab you've identified or taking classes in that same major that you've identified. But with that, I will pass it on to my colleague Megan to talk a little bit about the College of Architecture, Art, and Planning. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Megan Reiser, and I am the Assistant Director of Admissions here at Cornell AAP. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to email us. I'll have our email and QR code on our admissions website on the last slide. So AAP has 3 undergraduate programs. First, we have the Bachelor of Architecture program. This is a 5-year NAB-accredited STEM-focused program designed to prep students for their licensure. The curriculum is highly structured and emphasizes in design, history, technology, sustainability, and structure. Students follow a core curriculum for 3 years, and then the program opens up for them to explore more interdisciplinary studies. We have the Bachelor of Fine Arts program. This is designed for students who envision themselves as both artists and scholars. The curriculum combines studio art classes with research and electives integrated towards their individual interests. And after 3 semesters, students then have the freedom to select advanced studios in sculpture, photography, painting, drawing, print media, sound, and media arts. And finally, our most flexible curriculum, the Urban and Regional Studies program. It has 5 different pathways of study listed on the slide. This interdisciplinary liberal arts program focuses on the forces that shape the social, economic, and political character and physical form of urban and suburban areas and their surrounding regions, preparing graduates to anticipate the vast complexity and beauty of cities and address urban and regional issues ethically and sustainability, examine urban and regional problems, and undertake an analysis likely to lead to solutions. If you go to our next slide here, we'll explore our global study programs. Cornell in Rome semester offers a rich educational experience integrating design studios, history classes, and theory seminars, along with elective options like art history, photography, and Italian culture. This program is included in the curriculum with no additional financial or semester commitments. Students then can explore Italy through field trips, engage in cultural activities while they're there, such as olive oil tastings, wine tastings, there's Italian language courses, and even internships in galleries and studios to those interested students. The Rome semester is available to all our AAP undergraduates. Similarly, the New York City semester allows students to study and work in the city, emphasizing hands-on experience in urban firms through field trips and internships, connecting classroom learning to real-world applications. The New York City semester is available to our BARC students and our URS students. So if we go to the next slide, we'll explore just a little bit of our common application requirements. So in addition to the requirements, which I have listed on the screen, I just want to touch on a few things. AAP will now be requiring standardized test scores this year for the first time. The BFA and the BARC program both require a portfolio in addition to the common application, and your portfolio is submitted through Cornell Slide Room. The BARC program is requiring a video interview in addition to the required portfolio. For the BARC program and the BFA program, any creative medium is acceptable in the portfolio. We would like to see a selection of work that has been made both independently and in school, and that reflects the applicant's creative interests. AAP will not be accepting portfolios after these deadlines on the screen. If you go on our website, we have a detailed list of all of our portfolio requirements. All right, so for our next slide, that's all from me. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions for our office, please send us an email. I encourage you to reach out to our ambassadors as well. They can speak on their time in their program, their admissions experience, and answer any general university life questions. I also popped a QR code that links to our website where you can explore our programs and requirements in a little bit more detail. But thank you, everyone. Good luck with your application, and I'll hand it over to Arts and Sciences.
All right, thank you so much, Megan. So my name is Kristen Blake. I am Deputy Director of Admissions in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I have the pleasure of talking for a few minutes about our specific college. So just tell you a little bit about who we are. We are the largest of the undergraduate colleges at Cornell, with about 4,600 undergraduate students. And they come from all 50 states, over 60 countries, and so it's a really diverse place to call your home. So we do consider ourselves to be the liberal arts and sciences heart of the university, and that means that we're home to more than half the majors, minors, and courses that are offered at Cornell. So you can really see that the sort of power of our curriculum is by design to be both broad, deep, and really flexible. And so as we move to our first slide for arts and sciences, the things that I really want to highlight is that there's no core curriculum. So there's not one single class that all students in arts and sciences are going to take. Instead, you're going to really take classes across these distribution requirements, which you also heard Anna talk about in CALS. They are slightly different for arts and sciences, but it's the same idea. They're kind of thematic areas that we want you to study that are everything from, arts and culture to global citizenship. And so for us, this is really important in giving you that broad liberal arts curriculum. One thing I do want to mention that language study is a really important part of this for us. And so we have more than 40 languages that are offered in our college. And that means that you can likely continue to study something you did in high school, or possibly study something new, like ancient Greek or Swahili, or possibly even American Sign Language. As we move to the next slide, we'll look a little bit at our actual majors. So as I said, more than half the majors at Cornell are in our college, but unlike some of the other colleges that have already presented, when you come to arts and sciences, you actually come in undeclared. And so we allow you over up to 2 years to really do discovery and exploration about what your passions are. We want you to really take classes that are going to expand your horizons, that might be related to your potential major, but also will give you that opportunity to be flexible, to shift directions, to be exposed to coursework that you've never even seen before. And then at that point, you'll really dive into your major. As I said, we have over 40 different majors. This spans everything from humanities, social sciences, physical, natural sciences. So you can see there's a wide range that are highlighted on the screen. And so we're really excited for students that have a passion, but we're also excited for those students who are hoping to find it once they get here. So talking on the next slide about beyond the curriculum a bit, I do want to highlight some arts and sciences signature programs. So there's 4 of them that I'll talk about hopefully quickly. The first is the Robert S. Harrison College Scholars Program. This is similar to an independent major in that if you have a really niche interest that you want to dive into, this is the place you do it. You're often taking graduate level coursework, you're working one-on-one with a faculty member, and you're creating your own major. A cool one that a student graduated with last year was actually all around Bitcoin. And from what we hear, it's actually the first Bitcoin related major in the entire United States for someone to graduate with. So it's kind of a cool program. For the Milstein program in technology and humanity, this is a small cohort-based program that really is looking at how those 2 areas intersect. It includes an 8-week immersive program in our New York City campus at the Cornell Tech campus, which is usually just focused for graduate students, but this undergraduates that are part of Milstein get to do that as well. And students here are doing interdisciplinary type of research and work. We had a pretty fun one last year in which students did some mapping to create virtual reality of the vegetation that was present in Pompeii. And so it was students from archaeology, environmental science, digital fabrication, all working together. So I know there's some questions in the comments about can you do interdisciplinary research, and this is a great example of that. Next, we have the Humanities Scholars Program, which is really for students who want to dig deep into a specific area of humanities. They work one-on-one again with mentorship, research, and it ends with a capstone program in which you present either a thesis or a project that you've been working on. And then the last program is one that I always like to highlight because I think it's really interesting. It's the Nexus Scholars Program, and this is designed for students, specifically those who've had limited research opportunities to engage with a faculty mentor relationship. And so we will provide you with kind of skill building workshops and a lot of personal development, pair you with a mentor, and then help you to create a research project over the summer. And this is actually a funded program. And so that's mostly students after their first year. And so those are always 4 things that I kind of like to highlight. And then as we move to our next slide, I do want to talk a little bit about what you can do with a degree from arts and sciences. So sometimes when students hear about liberal arts, they're not sure what that means, what they're going to actually do. And as you can see from the screen, we have students going into all types of industry. This information is about our class of 2024. About 80% of students responded with the survey, and 64% were employed either at the time of graduation or within 6 months. 31% graduated or went on to graduate school, and then 5% were either seeking employment or doing other things like preparing for graduate school, traveling, volunteering, etc. So we have really high placement rates, and what I really want you to take away from this is that you can do almost anything with a major that you graduate with from arts and sciences. You can major in Spanish and go on to med school. It's a really flexible curriculum that allows you to get those requirements that you might need for your future career while also studying something that interests you. And I think that is where I will wrap it up for us. And I have a privilege to turn it over to Susie at the Cornell SC Johnson College of Business.
Thanks so much, Kristen. So good evening, everyone. My name's Susie Schneider. I'm the Director of Admissions for the Cornell SC Johnson College of Business. And as we move to the next slide, I need to take you from like the macrocosm of arts and sciences, right, which is our largest college at Cornell that Kristen talked about, to one of the smaller programs. The College of Business is an AACSB accredited business college. And within that college, we have 2 undergraduate business schools, majors. And if you're applying to the College of Business, you have to make another decision to apply to either the Charles H. Dyson School of Applied Economics and Management, which is one of our programs, or the Cornell Peter and Stephanie Nolan School of Hotel Administration. So we're asking you to make, another choice. As we go to the next slide, you'll see that we really want you to ponder the question, what kind of business student are you? There are some students who are applying to business because they're really just undecided and they really don't know what they want to do. And we are requiring you to do a lot of thought and introspection in order to successfully apply to one of our 2 programs. So I'll just give you a sort of a high-level view. First, the Dyson School The ethos there on the slide is our business is a better world. We are looking at preparing our students to graduate and go out into the world to focus on solving global business issues. And in order to do that, we're giving you a strong business curriculum core that you start right in the beginning of your freshman year with taking your, microeconomics courses, finance, macro, stats, calculus, all those things, business computing, to give you a firm foundation in business. We have 11 different concentrations that you'll choose sometime during your junior year. You have to choose one. You can choose as many as two. Our most popular concentration right now, and has been for a while, is finance, but business analytics is growing in popularity, as is environmental and resource economics. So there are 11 to choose from. And our Dyson students all complete a capstone service experience their senior year, where they are engaging with a CBO, community-based organization, or a nonprofit somewhere across the globe to help them create a business case and solve a business problem. So it's a great class-based and group-based activity for our senior Dyson students. Now, pivoting over to the Nolan School, the ethos there is life is service. And we teach our students through the business curriculum at the Nolan School that hospitality is everywhere. And I want you to really think about that and realize that we're teaching our students about business from a survey point of customer satisfaction and relationship building. It's very similar core business courses that you'd have in Dyson, right? You're taking organizational behavior, you're taking microeconomics, you're taking business computing, you're taking financial accounting, but all of that is done through the lens of service and relationship building. Within our Nolan curriculum, we have 5 specializations. You can choose one if you choose to, but you don't have to. Many of our students are choosing to focus on real estate as a minor, which is a pocket program that we have within the Nolan School. And the signature program for our Nolan students is that they'll all graduate with 800 hours of work experience on their resume. And frankly, most of our students graduate with more than 800 hours. So as you go to the next slide, you'll see that we're really, really proud of where our students end up after graduation. For the graduating class of 2024, which is where we have our latest data, 96% of our students were employed within 4 months of graduation. And as you look at this list of places where our students are employed, you'll see that there's a lot of overlap between the Dyson School and the Nolan School. The recruiters come and speak with our students, and they're looking for a fit within the program, and both of our business curriculum are preparing our students well to step into the business world. So, and I'll leave you on the next slide, which talks about ways that you can get in touch with us if you have more questions. General email, admissions, or if you know specifically if you want information about Dyson or Nolan, please reach out to us this way. And if you're interested in a little more specific information about our 2 programs, I am doing one more Zoom information session tomorrow evening on the 8th of October at 7 p.m. And you can sign up for that through a link that I'll put in the chat. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to my friend and colleague Terry in the College of Engineering.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Terry Carey. I am an Assistant Director of Admissions for the College of Engineering. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to all the other colleges in UIO for bringing us together. This is really fantastic for us all to come together and do this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the College of Engineering. We are the largest and highest ranked engineering school in the Ivy League. If you put us in terms of a national size, we are more of a mid-sized engineering program with about 3,200 undergraduate students in our program. As you can see here, there is a list of our majors. We have 14 of them. We also have 19 minors within our college. Many people have been asking in the chat, can you minor across the university? Yes, absolutely. You can minor across anything across the university outside of your home college. But you can find all of these and more along on our website with requirements as well. But I'm going to dive a bit more into our program in the next slide. So the beauty of our program is that you can get a true university experience here. So all of my colleagues here can attest to the fact that, yes, while we are separate colleges, we are still one university, and we use that to help build this opportunity and have collaboration and interdisciplinary experiences here. You can follow your passions and you can bring engineering to business, agriculture, storytelling, policy and law, whatever it is. You can showcase how engineering really does touch almost any field, and you have the opportunity to explore that here. Through this ability to collaborate and to reach across the university students, a lot of students become really intellectually nimble. They're seeing how their fields cross and the subjects both inside of engineering and outside of it. In addition, you're going to have this depth of opportunity in our College of Engineering. You're going to go and get this incredible hands-on, layered, and innovative engineering education. All of our faculty actively teach, advise, and conduct research here. So we have a 12-to-1 faculty to student ratio, and 99% of our courses are taught by professors. So it's ensuring that you do get that personal attention, that mentorship from an expert in the field right here in engineering. At any given time, 50% of our undergraduate students are engaging in research. We are a Research One institution. It's a pillar of our university. But this could be anything from volunteering in a lab to kind of figuring out how to use the instruments, all the way up to presenting in conferences or even leading your own small research team. So there's a huge wake of opportunity here with research. We also have 36 active student-led project teams, and these offer real-world collaborative experiences. These teams help students develop not only these technical skills to help you develop as an engineer, but also these crucial soft skills like teamwork, communication, time management, problem solving, all the things you really need after you graduate in a job. You can also find our list of our student-led project teams on our website, but I want to give you two examples of them. The first is CU Air. They plan, design, and build a search and rescue unmanned aerial system. They built this drone plane. It's amazing. And then they utilize it to compete in complicated rescue tasks against other universities across the nation. It's really cool. Agua Clara is another example. This is more of a service-based organization, and this team develops sustainable water filtration systems for communities that lack access to clean water in other countries like Honduras and India. So there's a travel component. You can also go and travel with these teams. These teams are open to all majors across the university. It's not just engineering students. Another highlight I want to showcase is our Sealander Center for Engineering Leadership. We are the only program that we know of its kind in the country where we fully integrate leadership training into our engineering curriculum. So every student participates in leadership development. It's woven into our courses, and we have opportunities to expand upon that through programs like our Leadership Skills Clinic, our Compass Mentorship Program, and our Leadership Certification Track, among many others. New this year, we have Global Start Cantabria. It's a phenomenal experience. You are going to have the opportunity to spend your first semester in Santander, Spain, being a part of a 20-student cohort accompanied by our engineering faculty member. And students basically take the equivalent of a first semester courses while studying at the Universidad de Cantabria. You're right by the ocean. It's amazing. You're going to, have that rigorous academics, but also this rich global experience. And then you're going to come back and join us for your second semester in Ithaca. All right, on the next slide, I'm going to talk about academics here. This is what a typical schedule looks like for a Cornell engineering student. You'll see that we want you to love math. We want you to love science. You're going to be taking a lot of those classes, especially in your first 2 years here. But we also want you to come out as a well-rounded student. So there are a number of liberal arts touch points along the way, including our writing seminar and liberal studies credits that you can see along the bottom. And that can easily be an 18-credit minor. The deeper you go into the program, the more specialized your classes are going to be. All engineering students come into Cornell Engineering without a major. You are simply an engineering student, and then in your sophomore year is when you're going to affiliate. And that is different than other colleges here, so I just want to mention that and make sure you do see that difference. You will have time to explore, to experience, and figure out what you want to do, and then affiliate. There are also no caps on our majors, so you are going to be able to pursue what you want. And finally, on our last slide, I just want to close with some outcomes for our college. Each year, we graduate about 850 engineering students. Of those, 95% have a next step planned either by continuing on graduate school or by accepting a job on graduation day. So please visit our website for more information. We have all of our requirements there. We also have some reported info sessions and virtual programs on our website that can go further into depth into our program. We also have an application workshop on there that you should check out. I go through an application, kind of talk about what we look for and how it looks on our end. It could be helpful to you. If you want to reach out, our email is engr_admissions@cornell.edu. And with that, I am going to pass this along to Human Ecology and Bernadette. Thank you all so much.
Hello, thank you, Terry, and thanks everyone for joining us. Welcome. My name is Bernadette Soto-Parr, and I'm on the admissions team in the College of Human Ecology. My goal for this evening is to help everyone understand what human ecology is. I know that some of the other programs, you might have a sense of what they're about, but you don't always hear that phrase human ecology. So as we get started, we'll talk about the College of Human Ecology's mission. We are about improving human health and well-being, and we do that through a variety of perspectives: the natural sciences, social sciences, and design. We take a multi-layered and interdisciplinary approach to considering the life experience. So everything that we are experiencing throughout our days, weeks, months, years can be tied back to the College of Human Ecology. And before we continue on, I do want to define that phrase, human ecology. Human ecology is focused on how people interact with their environments and how those interactions shape their experience. And when we talk about the word environments, it can certainly mean the natural environment. That's something that people automatically think about. But we also really think about environments as more broadly in terms of experiences. So thinking about everything from your family structure, your school community, your neighborhood, thinking about the clothes that we're wearing, the food that we eat, the spaces we inhabit, and how all of that impacts our everyday chances, choices, and opportunities. And so on the next slide, we can talk about our majors. Our majors are outlined here. They're organized around the themes that impact our lives as individuals, as communities, and as organizations. On what is my left-hand side, and hopefully yours as well, is we have our nutritional sciences, global and public health sciences, human biology, health and society majors that focus on various components of human health and do that in the context of not only the biological and chemical sciences, but also looking at the social sciences. Our human development major in a lot of ways is kind of the anchor of the College of Human Ecology, and we're looking at lifespan development, so pre-birth through death, everything in between, and what makes us who we are. So looking at not only the psychology of our development, but the biology, chemistry, nutrition, how does race, gender, ethnicity, where you grow up, how does all of that impact how you develop. We have a number of folks who are interested in early childhood development. At the other end of the spectrum, we also have folks who are very interested in gerontology and aging. On the other side, we have our more design-based majors, and they really vary in terms of scale and scope. So design and environmental analysis is looking at the spaces and settings we inhabit and how we can use design as a problem-solving tool to achieve various purposes based on what kind of space you're in. So whether it's a classroom or a hospital or a home, thinking about businesses and how they're designed. We also have fashion design and management. This is focused on fashion and textiles. And it's, again, using aesthetics, but also problem solving to think about how what we wear provides shelter, protection, also has an aesthetic component and value. And then finally, our fiber science major, which is in a lot of ways a materials science-based engineering major, focusing on chemistry and physics and looking at fibers. I will just quickly point out, as others have been mentioning, so we do ask that students identify a major in the application process. And while there is some flexibility in terms of changing majors within the college once students get there, we do encourage folks to start making progress in their intended major. Also, I do want to point out that our design and environmental analysis and fashion design and management majors do require a design supplement as part of the application process in addition to the common application. And that also, as was the case for architecture, art, and planning, can be submitted through Cornell's Slide Room portal. Moving on to the next slide, some people wonder what differentiates the College of Human Ecology. And we really like to talk about our students as the key differentiators. And people also wonder what kind of a student as well in the College of Human Ecology. Our students are internally motivated, they're outwardly focused, they're interested in the lives of others and making an impact in those lives. They're interested in multiple disciplines and how they can connect those to make the impact that they'd like to have. They're interested in problem solving, employing multiple perspectives, and they really appreciate and thrive in a world that is complex and dynamic. Moving on to career paths, I just want to very quickly share some information about where our students land. We have about 89% of our graduates are pursuing immediate employment or going on to graduate and professional schools shortly after graduation, and others are pursuing gap years or research internships, travel, service projects after graduation as well. Excuse me. I also wanted to say that in terms of career paths, we really prepare students for a variety of options, whether it's in pre-health and medicine, thinking about business, thinking about education, thinking about the social sciences, government law, not-for-profits, and certainly in the design work as well. And to close, I'll just encourage folks to take a look at our CHE student stories. There's a QR code that you can hopefully access a number of videos from our students. As I said, they really are one of our differentiators. You can also email our admissions office at humec_admissions@cornell.edu, as well as to get more information about student life, you can email our HE ambassadors at cornell.edu. So thank you all so much. Good luck with your process. Feel free to be in touch if you have questions. And with that, I'd like to hand this off to my colleague Ian from the ILR School. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Ian Shackner. I work for the ILR School. ILR is one of the smaller programs at Cornell. We have about 1,000 undergraduates. A unique aspect of our school is that every student gets a Bachelor's of Science in Industrial and Labor Relations. So if you can go to the next slide. We'll just highlight why that's the case. Industrial and labor relations is the study of work. We look at all of the legal, historical, psychological, international issues that impact every workplace and every organization. This is an interdisciplinary and applied social science program. So many of the things we study, whether it's leadership, organizational change, employees' rights, argumentation and debate, so many of our topics can apply to any nonprofit, for-profit, or government organization. And so for our students, what works best is while they all have the same core classes, the heart of our degree is keeping it with one major so that they can tailor our degree to their interests. Now, like Bernadette with College of Human Ecology, my goal today is just to give a quick overview of why some students come to this program, some of the unique experiences, and what they do afterward. I do think our schools, and in fact, some of the majors throughout Cornell are good examples of how you should be navigating your whole college search process, which is to say, it's really important to not just default to the terms you're already familiar with. Hopefully you've heard in our presentation today, there are several different ways that you can explore government, businesses, all of these different STEM fields. So it's particularly important for these kind of uniquely named programs to really dive in. And that's why dive into their courses, to dive into their particular lens on these issues. That's very important for the ILR school because we get the students who say things like, I like business, but I like law. I like psychology and I like history, but I'm a little bit more interested in how those things impact public policy or how organizations run. Whether you have formally held a job somewhere or you haven't, the students who are right for our school, that we often joke that they are ILR students, they just haven't realized it yet. And that's because, as you'll see on the next slide, when you look at our courses, you did not have to know the term industrial and labor relations, but what we find is the students that are right for our program, on their sports teams, in their clubs, in student government, in their community activities, they are passionate about the topics we explore. They have realized why the skills that we teach are so important. Because when you look into our classes, you'll see this is what we mean by law, business, government. How do you get teams working well together? How's technology and AI impacting every organization? It's everything from conflict resolution and human rights to negotiations and fair trade. So I could cover several different areas like international relations, nonprofit management, sports, public policy. And when you look through our departments, you will see the unique approach that we take to those fields. Now, on the next slide, I just quickly want to cover that as a school that studies work, substantive practical experiences are very important to us. Our High Roads Fellowship is an opportunity to get a paid community engagement internship. It's offered in Buffalo, in Ithaca, and in New York City. Our credit internships are a way to work for a for-profit or nonprofit during the semester. And you get credit for the experience, so you still graduate on time. And that can be within the US and around the world. And we also have a host of international opportunities. We have a very high international experience rate because there are so many ways to do it. There are general Cornell study abroad programs that our students can use. We have exchange programs, and that means you're studying the business, legal, historical, labor issues that we study at a similar program overseas. So that's in Italy, in Spain, Australia. And we also have a global service learning program, which is a way to go overseas and have an abroad experience during the summer or winter. Next slide. Just threw some pictures out there to emphasize international experiences are incredibly important to us. Many ILR students actually fit in two. They can use a typical one during the fall or spring and then do another one for a global service program. We also have opportunities to spend a year in Oxford or the London School of Economics. And lastly, several of our global service learning programs are actually fully funded by alumni who wanted to make sure that finances did not preclude someone from having an overseas experience. So I'll wrap up with the big question, what do you do with this degree? Well, we say it's one major with endless possibilities because it is all over the map and we like it. A little more than half our students start in something in the business world, whether it's human resources, consulting, or finance. We also have people go on to labor and labor relations positions, public policy, all the departments from state, education, and defense, as well as education research, education policy, and teaching. There's a lot of ways, a lot of things that you can do with our degree, and there's a lot of support to get there. With that said, I will pass it along to Christy to talk about the Brooks School of Public Policy.
Great. Thank you so much, Ian. So you've heard a lot from my colleagues about their different colleges, and I'm going to spend some time talking about Cornell's newest school, which is the Jeb E. Brooks School of Public Policy. My name is Christy Avgar. I'm the Assistant Dean of Enrollment and Student Services here at the Brooks School. And my team and I work with students all the way from this point in time when students are just exploring Cornell and the Brooks School all the way to graduation. So we're a team that's going to support you through the admissions process, but also within your journey here at the Brooks School. So as I said, the Brooks School is our newest school at Cornell. We just had our 4-year anniversary party a couple weeks ago. So really excited to come together to celebrate this opportunity for us to really create a School of Public Policy that really addresses the policy issues of the 21st century. And that's really allowed us to do that by having a program that really takes into account cutting edge public policy research, as well as being really innovative in our teaching. And I'll talk a little bit about that as I move forward. We are the smallest college here at Cornell. So we have 323 undergraduate students currently across our majors within the Brooks School. What this gives students an opportunity to do is they're part of a very large institution, right? A resource-rich institution that gives students many opportunities for study abroad, for minors, for clubs, for experiences. But they also have a small community, right? A home where they get to know our faculty very well. They get to know each other in classes, as well as our staff in admissions and student services. So next, I just want to talk about the 2 majors we have here at the Brooks School. They are healthcare policy and public policy. Policy, as if you're thinking about policy, you're doing your research, you're learning more about it, you've really learned that policy can touch many different areas of an individual's life, whether that's at the local community or local level, state level, national level, or even internationally. There's so many types of policies that are really out in our communities, providing structure for our communities, and anything from tech policy to healthcare policy, educational policy, environmental policy, social policy, politics, right? Those are all part of the things that you could study, or some of the topics you can study within our 2 majors. And because policy really, can be in many different environments and touch many different areas, there's really an interdisciplinary foundation to our policy work that really focuses on economics, government, statistics, sociology, writing, as well as natural science. One of the other pieces of our policy major that I want to pivot now and talk a little bit about is really our engaged learning requirement that we have here at the Brooks School. So policies, again, they are in our communities, where you're learning about them in the classroom, you're doing research, you're learning how to write a policy brief. But again, policies live and breathe, right? And you can have created the best policy that you think might work for a community, but if you don't have buy-in from different stakeholders, or it's not economically feasible, or the community is not interested in that policy, it doesn't solve a challenge or problem for that particular community, it's not going to be successful, right? So we want to give students the opportunity to outside of the classroom begin to see how policies interact in communities and in our environment. So there are many opportunities where students can take policy electives that have an engaged learning requirement. There's a couple of different examples here from our housing equity lab to our addiction medicine policy practice and policy course. But one I'll point out here specifically is our state policy and advocacy clinic. This is a course where students work with one of our faculty members who's also a lawyer, and they identify a policy challenge that's currently facing New York State. And then they do research on that challenge. They then create a policy brief, and then they propose a policy to the New York State legislature. And they work closely with, again, the professor for that class. They spend time in Albany going to the New York State Capitol and moving that policy through the New York State legislature. So that's a really engaging opportunity for students, again, to really learn about policy outside of the classroom. And all of our students in both majors are required to take at least one engaged learning course during their time at the Brooks School of Public Policy. Another initiative that's new here at the Brooks School is our DC START program. So our DC START program is it's a residential academic experience. It's offered to first-year Brooks School students in the fall semester, and it gives students the opportunity to start their first semester as a policy student in the place where policy happens, right, which is our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. So the students who are accepted into our Brooks DC START program, they're taking coursework that's very similar to the coursework that students in Ithaca are taking in their first semester. So they're taking Introduction to Microeconomics. They're taking a first-year writing seminar. They're taking a Building Success at Brooks class, which is an advising course. They're also given the opportunity to choose from 2 different electives. This semester, we were offering constitutional law as well as journalism and public policy. And then students are taking an ethics and public policy course. And then there's a signature course that's affiliated with this program. It's called DC Up Close, Politics, Policy, and Power. And that's where students are really taking advantage of living and studying in Washington, D.C., and taking a course where they're looking at the 3 different branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial branches, and the role that they play in policy making. So they're learning about that in the classroom, and then they're going out and visiting and having experiences in those different places. Students have been so far this semester to the Library of Congress, to the Supreme Court, as well as spent a day touring Congress, listening to arguments on the Senate floor, and visiting the senators and representatives to New York State at the nation's capital. So again, great opportunity for students, again, who want to start their policy journey in DC. On the Common App, when you select the Brooks School and you select your major, there will be a box for you to check if you are interested in being considered for our DC START program and starting again, your academic policy journey there. There's the opportunity for you to do that. And then in January, our students that are in DC will then move back to Ithaca and continue their undergraduate studies here on the Ithaca campus. So my final slide is just an opportunity for you to learn more about the Brooks School, or if you have any additional questions for us in regards to admissions or curriculum, we would really encourage you to reach out to us. So thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm going to turn it back over to John so that he can wrap things up for us. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Christy. And thank you to my wonderful colleagues, right? Going through all the colleges and schools, talking about their areas of expertise. I always learn something, right, for these types of programs. So really grateful that they were able to share this space with me today. And hopefully you've all learned a little bit about, kind of each of their individual areas and what makes them stand out, which is great. I know we're right about time. So, bear with me here. We've got about 5 more slides to get through. So I'll try and get through those as quickly as I can. Starting with this slide, now that you've heard all about our undergraduate colleges and schools, what else makes the Cornell experience distinct? For one, we have over 1,200 student clubs and organizations. Students can get involved in a variety of things, from art, dance, music, theater, service, as well as special interest groups to club or varsity sports. We have one of the largest club sport programs in the country, one of the largest outdoor exploration programs in the country. We also offer 37 Division I varsity sports programs, 19 women's, 18 men's, have had tremendous success in those. Quick shout out to our reigning national champion men's lacrosse team, who took home the title this past spring. So, again, again, in addition to the many student clubs, organizations, and athletic options, there's a ton of other ways that you'll enjoy your life on the Hill. We also have some phenomenal places, right, that you can explore, including 25 residence halls, including 12 first-year residence halls and 10 program houses. 5 new residence halls have opened just in the last few years. We also have 10 all-you-can-eat dining halls, another 19 eateries on campus for students to dine and connect with each other. And, you know, it helps that we're also ranked as one of the top college dining programs in the country. So you'll sleep well, you'll eat well, and there's a ton of things for you to do here. If we had more time, certainly I'd go through all of our traditions, but you know, we have a bunch of traditions at Cornell, 3 of which are our Dragon Day, Slope Day, and the Line of Faithful. The one that I will highlight that's my favorite is Slope Day, which is really a celebration after the last day of classes each spring, and features a huge party on Live Slope, which is one of the giant slopes on the side of our campus. It has carnival games, food, live music acts. Past performers have included Kendrick Lamar, Walk the Moon, Ludacris, Galantis, Coin, Flo Rida, even Snoop Dogg has graced the stage on the slope. And really just, again, a tremendous celebration to students, you know, at the completion of their academic year. So again, Dragon Day, Line of Faithful are 2 other, you know, traditions. If you get a chance, look those up on Google, YouTube, wherever. You know, some really great things you can find there. And, you know, with all these incredible experiences, you know, the big thing that we want every applicant to be aware of is Cornell's commitment to this any person, any study, which includes ensuring that a Cornell education is accessible and affordable to all. Financial aid is 100% need-based. As a member of the Ivy League, we do not provide any merit-based or athletic scholarships, but we do meet 100% of a student's demonstrated financial need. About half of our undergraduates receive some form of financial aid. This past year, we offered more than $400 million in need-based grants, and Cornell has several affordability initiatives, including $0 or low student loan packages, and we try to work to match aid offers from peer institutions in the Ivy League. So again, if you have any questions about the financial piece, you know, please check out our financial aid website. There's a great financial aid calculator tool there, which will again give you a pretty reasonable estimate as to what you can expect your total cost, you know, to be for a Cornell education. And just quickly talking about you know, the admission information, right? For our first year class that entered in the fall of 2024, we had over 65,000 applicants for an incoming class of just under 3,600 students. And, you know, I guess one of the best things that I like to talk about is that, you know, we don't talk about admissions just for first year. We talk about admissions as it relates to our transfer student population as well. I'm very proud to be able to say we had over 7,000 transfer applicants for an incoming transfer class of about 500 plus students. And 500 is a significant number of students coming to campus for our transfer student population. But like our peer institutions in the Ivy League, we do practice highly selective admissions. What exactly does that mean, right? It means roughly 80 to 90% of our applicants are admissible and could be successful at Cornell. It really just means we have far fewer spaces in our class than we have qualified applicants. This does allow us to be more subjective in our admissions practice, but we also use far more than the numbers to select our class, and we try to choose students who would be the best match for our institution. So that's really, really important. It doesn't just, you know, we're not looking at just a specific grade point average or one essay or anything like that. So, you know, in talking about that application review, right, what do we look for when reviewing your application? You know, we're looking well beyond just the numbers. We're looking at intellectual potential, strength of character, love of learning. We want to know about your ability, achievements, motivation, your leadership, diligence, and integrity, your sense of fairness, compassion, right? All of those things are equally important to us. And just to quickly highlight, right, the screen that you're looking at. Intellectual potential, how you'll contribute to the classroom, your ideas, your interests, right? What do you bring to the table as a student to Cornell? Your character and involvement, really, really important. How you're going to contribute to our community. All of this and more can be revealed in those essays and recommendation letters, and it's also reflected in your extracurricular activities, your hobbies, after school or summer jobs, volunteer projects that you might be a part of, right? So all of those pieces are really important for you to include on your application. Your reasons for choosing Cornell, which are going to come out hopefully in a lot of those different areas, but most specifically your Cornell specific writing supplement essay. And then again, your reason for choosing the college you're applying to. As we referenced, understanding what program is right for you and articulating that in that supplement, so important. So hopefully, again, this helps as you're preparing your application, whether it be now or down the road. And in terms of the application, just a quick overview of our timelines. We do participate in the QuestBridge application. That deadline, just has passed, actually. It's usually in late September. But if you're unfamiliar with QuestBridge, it's a national program for high-achieving, low-income students. We're proud to be one of 52 Cornell or QuestBridge partners as a part of Cornell University. The other application method, right, is the common application. We do have two different application windows, the early decision and regular decision application windows. Early decision is November 1st. It is a binding decision agreement, meaning that if you are admitted early, it is expected that you will enroll unless you receive a financial aid package that is simply not feasible for you and your family. The admissions notification is usually mid-December, right around the week or two before Christmas. And through this process, you can either be admitted, deferred, or denied through early decision. Our regular decision application deadline is January 2nd, and typically we release those decisions on the common notification date with all of the other IVs, and that's usually the last week of March, just to give you an idea. If you are a transfer applicant watching, again, the deadline to apply is March 15th. Those decisions are released on a rolling basis beginning in mid-April and running up through mid-June. Again, these dates that you see on the screen, right, those refer to the material dates or the dates that you need to submit your materials. So that includes your application, your supplement, your fee or fee waiver, your required portfolio if you're applying to one of those colleges and schools or the programs that require a portfolio to be submitted. And then once the application is submitted, supporting materials can come shortly after the posted application deadline date. So that's your counselor and teacher recommendations, your high school transcript, your school report. If those come in a few days after those posted deadlines, that's all right. But again, those required materials, you really have to have in by those posted deadline dates. The last piece I'll mention here, right, is once you apply, all applicants, regardless of which college or school you applied to or which program you applied to, will have access to our applicant portal page, as well as a checklist where you can monitor what application materials we've received and what, if any, may still be outstanding. So really, really important that you're making sure you know that and you're paying attention to it so that you've got everything submitted on time and so on and so forth. The last thing that I would like to share, right, is just some contact information. So again, if you haven't already explored our website, admissions.cornell.edu is going to have all of those different application requirements and materials and so on and so forth. If you heard something today, right, from one of our colleges and schools and you want to learn more, or you just have questions for them, please reach out to them, right? That college and school address there. That's the best way to get more information about our colleges and schools. And then, as I talked about a few slides ago, financial aid, so very important. Please make sure you're utilizing all the resources we have available on our website to you before you submit your application to eliminate any of those surprises. So with that, I'll invite my colleagues kind of back on screen here real quick. Just again, to thank you all for taking the time today to join us for this overview of all of Cornell and everything that we have to offer. I just want to extend my sincere thanks to my colleagues for presenting with me tonight. And again, thank you all for joining us. I hope you've learned some information that maybe you didn't already know, and that this is helpful for you as you plan your application to Cornell. And if we can be of any help in any way, please, please, please do reach out to us at one of these websites that you see on your screen. So with that, I will bid you all farewell. Thank you again to my colleagues. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, wherever you may be watching from. Take care, everyone.